Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? We have got game 3 here against my man Nick, and honestly, this is such a good game, but it's such a tough one. So, Doflamingo is one of the worst matchups for my deck. It is just a battle of attrition, and whether I can survive and get a lot of the resources out of his hand to start clearing board and start chipping away at life. And you'll see how it goes. It really does become, an extremely tough match, but it's a lot of fun and it's a good learning experience because Nick is a phenomenal player. He's a great pilot of the Doffy deck. And huge shout out to Nick, by the way, because he was super cool and traded. I ended up having one of the event pack Jimbeis, and he traded his super pre-release Luffy Leader, which is a card I've been looking to get for so long, and I just haven't been able to get my hands on it. But I was able to pick that up off him for, the Jimbei, and he also threw in a couple of SRs and some other stuff for it, so that was really neat. And also, I just want to say a huge thank you before we get started into this to everyone. Guys, we are so close to 1,000 subscribers. I think at the current moment, we're only 14 or 13 subscribers away from reaching 1,000. So thank you so much to everybody for just, being a part of this dream that I've been, kind of just cultivating and having so much fun doing. It's been such a great time, and can't say thank you enough to everybody. Now, I will say this, that's not the Jimbei that I traded to him, but, it is still a beautiful looking card, and he does get that Jimbei on his Perona search, so puts it down with the Doffy ability. And we go up to 4 Dawn here. He does counter out when I swing for 5 against it, and I do jet pistol it. I'm like, you know what, let's just get it out of the way. I don't want to have to deal with it later on when I'm putting down some cards, like I might throw down Zoro or Nico Robin or something like that, and it could be pretty inconvenient. I don't mind having the Nami bottom decked. I could, kill the Perona if it swings, but I'm not super worried about that. Now, we do have Boa Hancock coming out yet again from the Doffy ability. He leaves 2 active, so I choose to go 7 here, and he does Love Beam and protect it, but we are going to slap down that Zoro and throw another 7 swing at the Boa, trying to get control of the board, but he does counter out of that. Smart. Doffy doesn't need the hand value too much early because he has, a really good setup with that Perona. And now with 7 Dawn, he's able to play Doflamingo, set it up yet again, and then start doing the leader ability. It's a brutal matchup. It's a very brutal matchup, and 7 swing at my Zoro is just gonna pretty much guarantee that it's gone. But I think he's gonna go 8 here and then just use leader ability after setting up the top of his deck. Either way, I do have quite a bit of cards in hand, but none of them are really being super useful in the moment. But I do choose to counter out of this and save the Zoro just because I knew I needed a second swing to get through some of these blockers, but also to try and deal with a lot of the board presence that he has right now. I don't have any other rush cards in hand, I believe, and I'm just trying to set up for that Whitebeard next turn. And I tell you what, it's not looking great. This is a tough matchup. I do have a couple of those 4-drop Atmos in hand. I have the 9-drop Whitebeard, but he does choose to block out of this one with the Doflamingo. And now I could choose to go 7 again with lead and try and KO the Boa Hancock. And I think that might be what I went for at this exact moment. But, with 2 cards in hand, he has, pretty good odds of potentially having those 2K counters. But I am actually going to go for 8 here and hope that he doesn't have 2K counters. And I think that he lets the Boa go. Yeah. So I'll just go ahead and pass turn, but now he's up to a pretty scary number. He's up to 9 Dawn, and 9 Dawn is very inconvenient for me. So I'm like, all right, great. He's going to swing 5 here, and this is basically telling me, okay, you know what? Mihawk's coming down this turn, and if he's not using leader ability, it's more than likely that Mihawk is coming down. So I'm going to try and counter out. I don't want both Zoro and Marco to just be wiped off the board. So I'll counter out for one of the 5k, and then I'll counter out for the second 5k. And then most likely he'll bottom deck the Marco, but could potentially bottom deck the Zoro. I doubt it. Doesn't seem like it would help him very much. Yeah. So he gets rid of the Marco there, and now I'm up to 10 Dawn. I can put down Newgate finally, but I think that there was a better way that I could have done this here is... And I don't know. I think that it's not bad. I went for 5 at Boa, but he does counter out with Alvida, so I guess technically it wouldn't have been that much better. I was thinking I could have put down Whitebeard, then use leader ability under Zoro, and go to 6 or potentially 7 with that last on, but I choose to go 7 at Boa here, letting her go. But I might have been able to chip away at 1 life there, and I will use the Whitebeard Pirates as the last on and pick up Jozu. So I think that getting 1 life away could have potentially been an incredible play during that turn for me, because if you notice by the end of the game, it really comes down to the wire. And I think that maybe that 1 life could have changed potentially the outcome of the match. I'm not entirely sure, but I did choose to Whitebeard Pirates and do a Jozu pickup for a 2k counter. But now with him having Mihawk down, I don't feel terrible, simply because I do have Whitebeard down. That normally means that he won't swing with the Mihawk. So the Mihawk is just really good board presence, and you know, it's sticky and it's tough to deal with, but at the same time, like, it's not terrible. Like, I know that he's trying to save it for dealing with my Newgate, but I can play around making it really inconvenient for him to swing at Newgate, especially, you know, if we have Radical Beam or save 1 Dawn for Radical Beam. But he does do 8 at Zoro here, bringing up the Kuma from leader ability. And with 5 Dawn left, I'm like, we're just going to let this go. Yeah. But I'm not sure if arguably it would have been nice to save that, and then because then he just would have swung Perona at it again. I would have had to burn another card, because he probably wouldn't have swung with Mihawk. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong, but yeah, we let it go in the moment, and I do have the Radical Beam, but I choose to take the life here to go down, and that way I can get some usage out of Radical Beam now that we're down to 2 life. And now with 10 Dawn, I have some decisions to make. I gotta try and get rid of, you know, one of the Peronas has definitely got to go. The Kuma is unfortunate, but knowing that he already set up his deck, you know, at the top of his deck, I'm assuming that he probably will have, you know, what's the card called? Pacifista. So I'm like, all right, his last card's probably Pacifista. I'm gonna swing for 5, even though he has 2 Dawn. I'm thinking like, okay, you set up Kuma, it's probably got to be Pacifista, but he actually uses Love Beam. I mean, like, he just set this up perfectly. He uses Love Beam right here, and that's like, you know, it makes me go, okay, perfect. I really probably don't have to worry about Pacifista. Like, the odds of him getting it and then playing that pretty perfectly are, you know, not astronomically low. It's just probably unlikely. So I was like, okay, all right, I feel pretty good. But yet again, I got to remember, I'm playing up against Nick. Nick is a phenomenal player. He knows how to pilot this deck amazing, and he's mapped this whole turnout. Like, he's mapped my entire turnout. But I'm gonna go 12 at Kuma, and I'm gonna KO one of the Peronas. Yeah, and it was funny, I actually forgot about the active Perona that he had, but he has the Pacifista. I was really trying not to have to use 4 Dawn for Jet Pistol here, but it's just looking like I'm going to have to. So I am going to rest 4, and I'm going to get Jet Pistol that Pacifista. It would have been nice to save the 4 and then, you know, potentially get, you know, a couple bodies on board that would be really useful for the next turn, but I'm just going to go ahead and put down Zoro. And I'm not sure if... I can't remember. Do I swing at Perona or do I swing at Life? I feel like I swing at Life just because... Oh, no, I choose to go for the Perona. Okay. And Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of leaving the Perona active, but at the same time, it forces leader to swing at Zoro more than likely. So kind of saves me a life. He might go for life, you know, just because why not? He's only got one card in hand and trying to get me closer to the KO range. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. The Zoro's definitely going to be pretty inconvenient for him if I'm able to take whatever he drops with leader ability out and then potentially get closer and closer to that KO range. But yeah, it's a tough spot to be in. You know, I haven't even gotten a single life off him yet, but I do finally have him down to one card in hand. This is like the turning point of the game. If I can potentially survive this, then it gives me potential of, you know, being in a good spot. And he will choose to go 7 at life and brings out Boa Hancock. And I'm like, huh, okay, well, dang. But he does save a lot of Dawn, so it makes me think like, okay, he's probably going to play, or he's probably going to go for a big swing on Newgate. So I think I take the life here. And I'm just kind of mulling over it though. Like, do I counter out, but then I kind of risk letting my Newgate die? And I don't know. It's a tough decision in the moment for me, at least. And I choose to take the life. I do get Whitebeard Pirates trigger. And unfortunately, no like second Newgate or anything. That would have been pretty good. But we pick up a 1k counter Atmos. And I think a Marco would have been... Oh, God, a Marco would have been like so game-changing towards the end of this match. But can't always get what you need, you know? And he's got 7 Dawn left. He's just thinking about what he wants to do here. I know that, you know, he's potentially thinking of swinging with Mihawk, but I think that he's really just trying to save that for, like, the final turn, like the final swing. Because he knows that I don't really have an answer to it. The only way I could take care of that is, what, 2 Otamas and a jet pistol? So... And the likelihood of that after I've already countered out, I believe, with 1 or 2 Otamas, and I've already used 1 jet pistol, are pretty low. So he uses Gecko Moria and decides to rest the last 3 and set up his hand with Doflamingo. So it's just been rough. How many Peronas and Doflamingos he's had? He's had the entire deck set up for him this whole game. That's why Doffy is tough to play against for my deck. It's just he's got so much on board. But we do, I think, top deck a Jozu or something like that. So I mean, decent 2k counter, can't be too mad about that. But he does have no cards in hand at the moment, so it gives me a little bit of breathing room to be able to just low swing, you know, some of these cards and maybe get rid of Boa. Potentially, you know, try and lower down Gecko Moria or something and swing for life. But yeah, he's got no cards in hand but 5 life. So I mean, realistically, it's going to come down to, am I able to whittle away maybe 1 to 2 life this turn and then try and go for a massive play next turn and get the KO? But it's, you know, it's going to be tough, because he'll definitely, for sure, have 2 things on board, minimum. Dracula Mihawk is staying, and then depending on whether I'm able to lower down Doflamingo or Gecko Moria, then, you know, then potentially right there, he's got, you know, another 2 swings. So it's not a comfortable spot to be in. But I'm just trying to plan out how I can use my Dawn the most effectively and what's going to be the best way for it. Oh, I don't know what happened to the camera right there. I think somebody might have bumped the table or something. But I choose to go for 5 at life. Obviously, he's going to take that. I choose to go for 5 at life again, and he does counter out. I was a little disappointed in myself that I went for that. I think I should have tried potentially to go for 7, but I'm not entirely sure. So I do Otama the Gecko Moria, and I'll swing for 12 at life, getting rid of that Gecko Moria off the board right there. And then I'm gonna have, let's see, it looks like 5 Dawn. Yeah, so I kind of messed up. I was hoping that he would take the 5 swing there, but he didn't. So now I just have 5 Dawn active. pretty big misplay on my part. I should have 100% swung for like 7 at life with leader and like pretty much guaranteed another life. So I would have had him down to 2. So 2 minor misplays, well, I should say major misplays, this game that they're just tough to spot though. They really are. They're tough to spot. And he chooses to go 7 at life. And now he's still got leader swing as well as Doffy swing, but I know that he's trying to go for the KO. Yeah. And I do counter out with, I think it was Jozu and Kingdu right there to bring myself up to 8. And he's just trying to figure out like what's the magic number? What's the amount of dawn that can save me here? And I'm sweating. You can see my hands are like I'm trying to dry my hands on my pants. I'm like, "Oh my gosh. I don't know what to do here, man." This is not a good spot to be in. But a 9K at life and then a 12K at life is looking like what it's going to be. And I have to think about whether I'll be able to survive that 12K. And that's why I took the life, because I think I needed 1K more. And so I counter out with 9, 11, 12, 13 right there. And he was like, oh God. And I was like, yep. But imagine if I had my opponent at 2 life right here, that would have changed the game entirely. I really, really did have an opportunity to take the game here. But I just blew it on that one turn, maybe like 2 or 3 turns ago. And then last turn, not swinging 7 with leader. I think I was getting too greedy and wanted to try and put down an Atmos. I think that's what was going on in my mind. But just bad decision overall. And yeah, it is what it is, but I'm going to have to go for lethal now. And getting 4 swings through is going to be very tough when he does have 2 cards in hand. And I don't have, the only other big body I have on the board is Zoro. And that's arguably a big body. It's not even, you know, really that great. But after going through some math in my head, it seems like the only way I'm going to get through this is by going 7 at life right here, which he does let through. And then I could go 7 again, and then 8, and then 10, but he does counter out of that. And I'm like, yeah, well, we tried. So 8, and then 10, and then GG. But great games to Nick as always. I think that there was a few moments in there that I could have capitalized, and I don't know. Unfortunately, what was going through my brain at the moment was, just trying to clear board, but also be as greedy as possible so that I could try and get one of those cards that could potentially get me the KO at the very end. But it is what it is. You live and you learn, you know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, that was a phenomenal match, but now we're 2-1. We'll be going into the next match. And just yet again, guys, I said it at the very beginning of the video, thank you so much. We're about to hit 1,000 subscribers. And honestly, it's just a really cool feeling. And the fact that everybody's been supporting me through it, I appreciate the heck out of you guys. And if you want to leave a like on the video, it's appreciated as always. But hope you have a great day. Peace.